Hello everyone and Happy New Year. It's January 4th, early afternoon, and I've been meaning to do this podcast for a couple of days, but I haven't had the time. But here goes. Rhino Ryan is gone from Washington, D.C., thank goodness. However, now we have one who may be even worse, Mitt Romney, coming back to town. And what does Romney do? The first thing he does when he comes back to town is attack Donald Trump's character. Now, what kind of character does that show Romney to have when Romney had no problems with Donald Trump's character when he accepted his endorsement a couple of months ago? And the mainstream media, of course, made a big fuss about this because, here's a Republican attacking Donald Trump. No. It's a rhino, an ungrateful rhino, whiny rhino, attacking President Trump. You know, they brought up JFK, LBJ, Clinton, and FDR and so forth as examples of good character in presidents. Well, let's look at that a little bit. LBJ, He was really, really terrible. He was a known racist. He fought against the Civil Rights Act for 20 years before he was kind of forced to sign it because he knew the Republicans were going to get it passed, and he had no choice, really. But what he did to kind of ameliorate its effects was to create a welfare state. And he infamously said, I'll have them N-words voting Democrat for the next 100 years. His Great Society was nothing but a plan to keep blacks dependent on government and dependent on Democrats, and voting for Democrats, of course. This is a man who used to have cabinet meetings while sitting on his toilet. There are stories of how he used to expose himself in public to his staff or his cabinet members. He was a real piece of work. This is a good character? I don't think so. How about JFK? I liked JFK. I thought he was a very good president, but his character kind of left something to be desired. He was screwing around in the White House long before Bill Clinton did, okay, although he wasn't the first either. And as one Secret Service agent put it, he used to bang broads 2 at a time in the White House. So JFK's character comes into question a bit. Let's not forget Bill Clinton, who I just mentioned. Bill Clinton used to have sex in the White House and in the governor's mansion before that, any chance he got. He has been accused of raping several women, and of course Hillary Clinton went after those women, who were all, by the way, Democrats, okay? But because they attacked Bill Clinton, who had presidential aspirations or who was already president, and who she was defending because his success as president her success later on would depend on his success as a president. So she defamed all these women who accused her husband of rape and unwanted sexual advances and so forth. That was long before Democrats decided to, in the Kavanaugh case, convict just based solely on accusations. But anyway, I don't think you can say that Bill Clinton has a good character. FDR, well, he's looked at as a paragon of the Democrat Party. Aside from being the man who gave us increased creeping socialism, he died in the arms of his mistress, not his wife's. Let's go to more modern politicians. Hillary Clinton, where can I begin? Where would it end? Everyone is aware, even those people who support her, of how terrible a character she has. Not just her temper, not just her vindictiveness. She lies like hell. You know, her defenders say, no, she doesn't lie, but they're lying defending her. So, insofar as I'm concerned, she has absolutely no character unless you go real low. Liz Warren, she wants to run for president now. She's a big liar. She's a proven liar because she's 1,024th Native American, maybe, and that might be from South America. Yet for years she went to school and everything and got benefits, and even when she ran for office, claiming that she was part Native American. What a lying... Anyway, here's another point of her character. Her husband, her first husband, put her through college, put her through law school. So she gets out of law school, graduates, goes to, I guess it was Harvard, I'm not sure, meets a professor that she liked. 73 days later, she leaves and divorces. Well, actually, it took 73 days for the divorce. It was a quickie divorce. She divorced her husband, the man who had sacrificed so much to make her a lawyer and a teacher. That shows good character, shows a lot of loyalty. The same kind of loyalty the American people would be able to expect. How about Joe Biden? He wants to run for president too. Here's another Democrat who, back in the 1990s, when he ran against George H.W. Bush for the presidency, came out with some sob story, a rags to riches story about himself. Turns out, however, that they found out the story he was pushing was not his biography. It was the biography of some British politician who overcame a lot of adversity, who overcame the poverty he was born into to become a very successful politician in Great Britain. Now let's move to the current time, though. Joe has become known as Creepy Joe Biden because of his behavior around young girls. By young girls, I mean girls who are under 14 who come with their parents and their families to be photographed with him. He's got his hands all over them. He's always whispering in their ears. You can see from the videos, from the many videos that are out there, that a lot of the parents are very uncomfortable about this. And the girls themselves are very uncomfortable. So Creepy Joe doesn't seem to have a very good character. Not only is he a liar, he may be, I'm not saying he is, but there are indications that he might have a proclivity for pedophilia. Now we go to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or as some pundits call her, Occasional Cortex. She claims she is Alex from the Bronx, that she's just a poor girl from the streets of the Bronx. Well, not really. She was born in the Bronx, but before she started school, her parents moved up to Westchester, and she was brought up in the town of Yorktown Heights. Now, the Bronx, the average family wealth up there is $400,000, but the average family wealth in Yorktown Heights is $1.2 million. I'm not saying her family was worth that much. However, she was not brought up in poverty, as she would have you think. She's not from the streets of the Bronx. She's from a very, very nice neighborhood. She went to good schools, all the way up to Harvard. I mean, she used her, I guess, ethnic background to get into all these great schools, whether or not her grades warranted them. Warranted getting into those schools, that is. I've got another one, Bernie Sanders. He's an avowed socialist. He's really a communist at heart. He loves Russia. I mean, the Soviet Union, sorry, not Russia. He loved the Soviet Union. He even vacationed there on his honeymoon, okay? Anyway, this man is always talking about how wealth should be redistributed. Meanwhile, he's very, very wealthy himself. Has, I think, more than one house, big house. But he doesn't seem to want to redistribute his own wealth. He wants to redistribute your wealth and my wealth. I don't have much wealth these days, but he wants to distribute our money, not his. It shows character. It shows he's a hypocrite. And I know the millennial socialists out there are going to go crazy because I said that, but hey, tough. The media also pointed out that in 2016, a Pew poll in Europe had an 84% favorable rating for President Trump. But that last year, in 2017, that favorable rating had gone down to 16%. Well, you have to take into account several things. One, mainstream media in Europe the politicians in Europe, the bureaucrats in Europe are all Trump haters also. Trump is not in the globalist club, and the globalist club is trying to bring him down. The mainstream media in Europe, the politicians in Europe, the bureaucrats in Europe hate Donald Trump just as much as the politicians, bureaucrats, and mainstream media in the United States hate him. So they attack his character. Now, all my life I remember hearing people complain that politicians are always lying. They say one thing and they do another. Donald Trump came into office and has tried to keep all his promises. He's failed in some places, but that's only because rhinos and Democrats have been obstructing what he's tried to do. He has succeeded in other areas far more than anyone, even himself, I think, expected. Economic growth is at its highest in a long, long time. Unemployment is down. Black unemployment and Hispanic unemployment are at their highest ever, historically. Women's employment, is the highest it's been in over 20 years. We've got better trade deals than we had that were negotiated under NAFTA and other so-called agreements, so-called negotiations by previous presidents. And it's not that we're screwing the world. We are not getting screwed as much as we were before. That's the difference, okay? It's a win-win thing with Donald Trump. It's not we win, you lose. With the other presidents before, it was you win, we lose. Today, Hispanics enjoy the highest mean income they have ever enjoyed before. We have less wars now, and we're getting out of Syria. We hopefully will be getting out of Afghanistan soon. That was Obama's baby. We have lower gas prices, and we are the number one producer of oil and natural gas in the world right now. We could have been in that position a few years ago, but Obama, a Democrat president, refused to allow the pipeline and other oil exploration to go on. Now, for the first time ever, I think, we are completely energy independent. We no longer rely on OPEC for our oil. We are no longer paying $4 a gallon for gas. We're down to $1 something again, which is still way higher than it used to be when I started driving. But you know what? It's a hell of a lot better than it was just a year ago. I remember when Obama came into office, he said that it was not fair we were not paying as much for gasoline as Europeans were. What? You are elected to run this country. You're elected to take care of this country, and you want us to go into a hole like the Europeans were? You are not the president of the world. You are not the president of Europe. You are the president of the United States of America. You are supposed to take care of your people, your country. Instead, you did the opposite. You screwed us as much as you could. Donald Trump has reversed that. And yet, his character is attacked. His policies are attacked on a daily basis. He has improved this country so much, even without being able to accomplish all that he's tried to accomplish. Prison reform. No Democrat has ever come up with any prison reform. Donald Trump did. So this man's character is always being attacked. Why? Because he's too honest. He says it like it is. He doesn't care if he offends. Now, since the election in November, he's toned it down a bit. He's tried to be nice. Even after Romney attacked him, after Romney bit the hand that fed him, President Trump just said that he hopes he'd become a team player. All right, that's enough for today. I'll be back in a couple of days with a few other things. Meanwhile, I hope everyone has a happy new year. Hope that 2019 brings health and happiness to everyone, except for those people who want to see Donald Trump impeached. Screw them. Bye.